First, I'm a Panthers fan. Fuck Von Miller. Let's talk about it on Pierre's agenda. I'm bumping Outkast, Dungeon Fam, Southern Playalistic. Let's talk about it on Pierre's agenda. I'm a Tar Heel, I rock my Jordan, infrared sixes. The black and talk about it on Pierre's agenda. I love the Hornets, word to Muggsy, but now I ride for Kimber. Let's talk about it on Pierre's agenda.
What's up, it's Pierre. It's 2017. And I'm back. I said I wasn't gonna do this shit no more, but I feel a need to get my thoughts around sports and primarily the Carolina Panthers out somewhere. So I'm gonna be talking into a mic all season for nothing else other than for my own fucking satisfaction. But yeah, 2017, brand new year, okay? We got the stink of that Super Bowl off of us, which pretty much ruined our 2016 season as a Carolina Panthers fan. Some new changes are going to be coming here. I'm going to update that fucking intro song. Make it shorter. And plus, I don't rock Jordans as much anymore. I rock Yeezys, you know. I upgraded, you feel me? But yeah, this is Pierre, and welcome to Pierre's Agenda. This is going to be a podcast, one-man podcast. I'm going to talk at your ass. And I might have some guests. We'll just see if motherfuckers can coordinate and participate the right way. But this is going to be a podcast primarily around NFL, football, and the Carolina Panthers, all with the slant on gambling. So I'm going to get right into it. This NFL offseason has been crazy. It's still not as good as the NBA offseason, but there was a lot of shit that happened. And I'll start it off with probably the most favorite Super Bowl I have ever watched, which was the New England Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons. I don't even know what the final score of that game is, because all I can fucking remember is 28-3. You goddamn dirty birds. Couldn't get it done. I wouldn't even been able to sleep if I was a Falcons fan. Those Falcons players, this shit ain't gonna matter to them. But I'm gonna tell y'all now, that hangover is real and it's gonna get y'all in the ass. But besides that monumental comeback by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick to win their 5th Super Bowl, we saw a crazy amount of offseason moves. We saw a bunch of new head coaches in Buffalo. They trying to recreate the Carolina Panthers. The Chargers and the Broncos both hired first-time black head coaches. And then you had the Los Angeles Rams hire a motherfucker younger than me and Sean McVay. So that was pretty exciting. We'll see how those guys do this year. Free agency was crazy. Patriots, again, just wow us with the number of trades. They obtained Dwayne Allen, Brandon Cooks, and just recently here, Philip Dorsett. They also got Coney fuck-ass Ely, and his ass is on the street. So put one in the column for the Panthers. But Deshaun Jackson going to Tampa Bay, Alshon Jeffrey to Philadelphia. We had some quarterbacks that were injured, and Andrew Luck and Cam Newton, both with shoulder injuries. I'd be scared if I was a Colts fan. And then you had Marshawn Lynch come back. So that was just March and April. And then we got into the end of April and May, and we got into the draft, rookie mini camps, et cetera, et cetera. Draft this year, a bunch of pundits talking themselves into different number one picks, even though it was known for several months that Myles Garrett was the number one pick who's already dealing with foot issues. But we saw a bunch of quarterbacks go when we thought this was sort of a down year. We saw Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Kaiser. We saw Pat Mahomes, who is a motherfucking country-ass mixed white boy with black boy hair. I don't know any other perfect place than the fucking Midwest for him. So that was awesome. We saw Joe Mixon. They tried to make a thing out of something that happened to that dude 3 years ago. I don't care what it was. It was a while ago. And he did his time, if you will. So there was a whole bunch of hoopla around that. But the Bengals might look smart coming out of this one. And then you had the Carolina Panthers. They came through Christian McCaffrey and looking to try to up our short game and the passing to the running back. So really excited about that. So the draft was everything that we thought it was going to be. We'll see how some of these guys shake out over the next, this season, but more importantly over the next 3 to 4 years. So with that being said, let me get into my predictions and a quick preview of the 2017 NFL season. I'm going to do it by division, and I'm going to just holler out some shit for each team and holler out who I think is going to win. I haven't even picked the Super Bowl winner. I think that shit's stupid. But I'm gonna do these division winners as a bass backwards way to do a season preview really quickly. So let's start in the AFC East. I got the New England Patriots winning, obviously. They got a shit ton of weapons, and Brady is still there. So let's move on to Miami, who got Jay Cutler, which will probably end up being a good thing because Ryan Tannehill, he was good. You had to pay him. You're not winning a fucking thing. At least with Gunslinger Jay, that's the type of quarterback and team that you end up, and you're like, why the fuck are they still around in January? So I look for them to finish second in that division. I look for the New York Jets to finish basically really closely with the Buffalo Bills. Week 1 here, and the Buffalo Bills are 9-point favorites over the New York Jets. Has anybody watched the offseason? Okay, the Jets didn't have a quarterback last year. Bills had a half a quarterback and that guy came back after like a mini holdout situation, and now he has concussion symptoms. They got rid of their best receiver, their best corner. They cut a ton of guys and made some other trades. They just cut their backup running back a week before the season. They got a new coach, a new GM. New York Jets, continuity there, in the grand scheme of things, same staff that was there for that shitty team last year. So I just think that the Jets and the Buffalo Bills are going to be vying for last in the AFC East. In the AFC North, obviously, it's hard for me to go away from Pittsburgh simply because all of the 3 other teams in the AFC have issues in the past year and a half. You got Baltimore and Cincinnati, who I think they're going to just vie for the second position, but I feel like both of those teams are going to end up in the 8-8 range. But Baltimore, just a shit ton of injuries already this offseason. Joe Flacco has not practiced so far in the preseason or training camp. And their backup is fucking Ryan Mallett. I'll let that sink in. Ryan Mallett is their backup. So Baltimore benefits from a strong staff, front office, and their defense. It was bad a few years ago, but they were really solid last year. And then Cincinnati just lost so much off of their offensive line. They did get weapons back in the running back, but nobody thought that Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu mattered that much to Andy Dalton. And we saw that last year with A.J. Green getting hurt and then that team just kind of falling apart. So I think the offensive line, losing Whitworth, is just going to be a major setback for Cincinnati. And in Cleveland, I think Cleveland's going to be better. Cleveland has a shit ton of draft picks, but they're also Cleveland. They got a rookie quarterback who's their best quarterback right now, and that's a natural limitation. So Pittsburgh to win the AFC North. AFC West, I think this might end up being the strongest and toughest division. I think Denver is going to be down simply because of their quarterback situation. I was considering them a sleeper until they let go of T.J. Ward over the past few weeks, and their defensive secondary is now younger, which is good, but it's also a little less experienced. So I think that Denver defense is still going to be good, but I don't think it's going to be able to carry the deficiencies of Trevor Siemian at quarterback there. Plus, they got a new head coach in Vance McDonald. Oakland, I think Oakland is everybody's favorite, Super Bowl, AFC West, but you got to look closely at some of the games they won last year. They should have lost week 1 to the New Orleans Saints. They should have lost to the San Diego Chargers. There was a couple of games they got gifted. The game in Mexico, they could have lost that one. So Oakland benefited from a lot of close games that they won, and they also were kind of under the radar going into the season. You fast forward to now, they bring Marshawn Lynch back. They had a holdout in Donald Penn on their front line. The defense is still good. They added pieces through the draft, but and they paid Derek Carr, the highest paid quarterback, but you got to wonder with the tougher schedule, some of those 3-point games are not going to go their way if they're really going to be able to come out of the AFC West clean. And then Kansas City is just always going to be solid. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl, but that team is just always solid. And the Chargers were the team that I was really going to pick to win this division, but I think the offensive line injury to their rookie tackle, and I think they also lost. They almost lost their first-round draft pick in Mike Williams. He's going to be slow to contribute this year, and they also have Anthony Lynn as the head coach. They're moving to LA for the first time. It might just be a whole lot going on, but San Diego was a decent team. Yes, last year they let a lot of leads get away, and that was partly because of Mike McCoy, but they still got Phillip Rivers. So I'm gonna reluctantly pick Kansas City and then pick Oakland and the Chargers to kind of finish similarly. AFC South, Tennessee, Marcus Mariota. I just think that they are set up because the rest of the division is so shitty. I don't know anybody who has any faith in what Andrew Luck has going on for Indianapolis, and Scott Tolzien is not going to get you many wins. Houston, still no quarterback. Good defense, still no fucking quarterback, and their left tackle's holding out in Dwayne Brown. I don't know what that's going to do. And Lamar Miller, everybody's waiting for him to turn into somebody, but I think he's just going to end up being an average running back who looks really good in limited usage, but we'll see if they're able to ride him. And then fuck Jacksonville. I don't know what the fuck they got going on. And Blake Bortles, my God. So AFC South, I'm going to go with Tennessee. Let's transition to the NFC East. I think that is the division for the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles to battle over. I like the Eagles' defense. They got Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. Carson Wentz I think he's going to be legit and he can learn. If he's able to stretch the field a little bit better this year, I think they're going to be solid. But a big weakness for them has got to be the running game right now. They have LeGarrette Blount, Wendell Smallwood, who has pass protection issues, smaller, soft tissue injury issues. LeGarrette Blount, 30-something years old, plodding 80 feet to get going, 80 steps to get going type of dude. So they got some issues. I think the Giants just have been there. They're solid defensively. They got weapons on they like to run the 3 wide receiver set. Eli will pass it all day long. The only reason they haven't been better over the past few years, well, before last year, it was primarily defensive struggles, but last year it was primarily just the running game. So if they can get Paul Perkins going and Orleans Darkwa, I look for the Giants to really be tough to beat in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys, I don't give a fuck what you say. They are playing a number 1 place schedule. Everybody knows what Dak's going to do. He's still poised. I still think he's going to be solid, but the last half of the season was not like the first when he caught everybody by surprise. And Ezekiel Elliott is going to do these 6 games suspension. So if they don't make him do 6 games, which they've already upheld it, and the best thing that we can, the Cowboys can hope for is it gets postponed till next year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm also not a fucking lawyer. But I'm banking on him missing 6 games, and I think that will make them collapse. And their defense is still shitty. They're younger in the defensive back secondary, and so and then Washington, man, Washington got rid of their GM. Their quarterback's still franchise tag. They signed a converted wide receiver as their number 1 wide receiver. He converted from quarterback in Terrell Pryor. They lost short-handed Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson. So I think Kirk Cousins is great, but and great not in the term of like great quarterback, but he's a good fit, good placement as their quarterback, but I don't think they're going to do much. Let's go to the NFC North. I think that's Green Bay's division to lose. I've seen a lot of people that I respect say that Detroit's going to be down. I haven't really thought that much about Detroit, but with the close games that they were in last year, I think there's a regression that we're expecting. Matt Stafford just got a big contract as well. I think they're going to have problems defensively with getting to the pass rusher. So I kind of look for them to be the bottom of the NFC North. The Chicago Bears, they're going to be better than last year just by default. And that's the spot where John Fox thrives. Everybody has a year worth of shitty tape for him, so he thrives as an underdog, and I think the same will happen here. Not sure who's going to play at quarterback, but John Fox is not going to let those quarterbacks embarrass him. He is king of the 3rd and 12 draw, so that's going to keep him in close games. Their defense is going to be competent, and they got a really good running back in Jordan Howard. So look for the Bears to win a couple of extra games to kind of be neck and neck with Detroit, but Green Bay is going to be the winner of this division. And then don't let me forget the Minnesota Vikings with Indian Sam Bradford, always solid, competent. Their defense is always going to be straight. You know, they got really good corners, Harrison Smith at safety, and their defensive line, and Anthony Barr. So the Minnesota Vikings defense is going to carry them. They got Dalvin Cook from Florida State, every down back. The big question, and the reason why I'm not picking them over the Packers is they fucking signed Mike Remmers for some fucking reason to play right tackle, and then signed away a guy from Detroit to play left, who I believe he's already hurt. So it's going to be the same issues with Minnesota as last year with Indian Sam having to get the ball out really quickly to Thielen and Stephon Diggs and Rudolph, and not much high-flying offense. But can't count that defense out. Definitely a wild-card team, just not going to win the division. NFC West, it's Seattle, right? I don't believe in Arizona. I love the coach, and you know, Fitzgerald's going to be there, but you know, Carson Palmer's 52 years old, and I think that's where things end and, you know, begin and end for the Arizona Cardinals. They have a old quarterback, and he's not going to hold up, I don't think. I really do think that their defense is going to be solid, but that's about it. I won't even dig into Seattle. They're just going to win it. San Francisco is going to be better, but I don't think they're going to be as much better as people expect. They still have Brian Hoyer's their quarterback, who's not scared to throw the ball and has been good. I still remember he was on a fucking tear with Cleveland before he tore his ACL in the Thursday night game with Josh Gordon a few years ago. So he can light it up, but defensively, who knows what they're going to be able to do. Carlos Hyde is always hurt. They're just devoid of talent in San Francisco. And then you have the St. Louis Rams, who have a 22-year-old coach, and they have Jared Goff playing for them. They just got Sammy Watkins. They got Andrew Whitworth. They have the pieces to be better this year. It's really going to matter. I think that young coaching staff, I was a young manager, and the energy and just a new view on things sometimes is all you need to kind of jolt the culture and get some easy success early. And that may happen here, I'm not sure, but they got the tools to be a little bit better. So that leads us to the last division I wanted to touch on, and that is the fucking NFC South. I think this is Carolina's division to lose, period. If you look at our roster, at our position groups, we stack up with everybody else in our division. Quarterback, I don't give a fuck. Matt Ryan has not won a Super Bowl. Drew Brees has, but he's older, and Jameis hasn't done shit. All right, so you put Cam up there with all three other quarterbacks in the NFC South. When you look at running back, nobody scares me outside of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, and look what the Panthers did. We got Cameron Artis-Payne, Jonathan Stewart, and we added Christian McCaffrey. I think we rival there. I think that's a game changer. The Atlanta Falcons, passing to their running backs was the difference maker for their season last year. So I put them up against that. From an offensive line perspective, definitely rank well with everybody. Atlanta, again, the reason they were so well, they didn't have any injuries on the offensive line. If you go down the line for our team, Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner, probably the best guard tandem in the league, maybe better than Oakland and the guard tandems that Baltimore's trotted out over the years past. You look at tackle, problematic in years past. I think we got something that should make that position group competent. Wide receiver, it's Julio Jones and Mike Evans and Bus, but Kelvin Benjamin, and I think if we can leverage Curtis Samuel, we're good. We have the best tight end in the league. I mean, it really, in the league, honestly, from a production standpoint. So, from an offensively, we stack up with everybody else. Defensively, we got the best defensive tackle in the division, and he's top 4 in the country. We have the best middle linebacker in the country. We have the best outside linebacker over the past 3 or 4 years, or arguably in the country. Our James Bradbury was the best rookie corner and stacked up against some veterans last year. We have depth issues, as most teams do, in the secondary particularly. But I really think with getting that Super Bowl loss off of us, combined with New Orleans' lack of talent and depth due to their contract issues, Atlanta and the Super Bowl hangover, no injuries last year, something's going to bite them. Just wait on it. And then Tampa Bay just being led by a very young quarterback, I think that sets itself up for Carolina to really get things going. We know who we are now. We've been through that loss, that sting, that hunger is back to try to get there, and I think the season sets up well. We also have one of the easiest schedules in the league, and if Christian McCaffrey can be utilized in the passing game on first down, running the ball on second and short is my one of the most respected NFL analyst that I like to follow pointed out, Warren Sharp, is in that second and short scenario for a fast up-tempo offense with a player like Christian McCaffrey could be devastating to defenses. So I look for Carolina to really win this division, and I am expecting them to disrupt things in the playoff picture and hoping for a Super Bowl. Not going to make that prediction, but that's where I see the NFC South. If I touch on New Orleans and Tampa Bay and Atlanta one more time, I'll say this: Drew Brees. I never ever underestimate him, but I do think that the talent is just not there overall. Tampa Bay, really good defensively, though. I know they just signed TJ Ward, but what does it mean for that defensive secondary and their pass rush outside of Gerald McCoy, right? And then Atlanta, again, I'm banking on some mystical shit with a hangover, but their usage of the running backs is still going to be deadly. Matt Ryan's still going to be deadly. So is Julio. That defense was young and fast, but their pass rush is going to be the thing. Vic Beasley, if you look at his sacks, he had 2 games of 3+ sacks last year. Outside of that, it was really pedestrian. So their sack numbers look good, but it's kind of fool's gold. So I'm looking for that pass rush to show up, that young defense to grow, and I expect the defense to still be able to do what it did at the second half of the season, but I'm not really banking on it, and injury bugs, something's going to fucking happen, but all of that is great for Atlanta, the mojo, but in all seriousness, Kyle Shanahan, that was a big loss. You got Steve Sarkisian in here. Who knows what he's going to do? Never worked in the NFL as an offensive coordinator before, and there's just too many things. And they also lost all like 8 or 9 assistants over the offseason. This is a different staff outside of the head coach, and they got a new defensive coordinator as well. So things are different in Atlanta, and I know I spent a lot of time on them, but they are the favorites. They were the NFC champs last year, so you got to respect them and give some factual evidence into why they won't repeat. But fuck them, Panthers. And that being said, thanks for listening to Pierre's Agenda. I'm out, bitch.